Hey guys, believe it or not, we've reached the end of the first quarter of 2022. And it's traditionally speaking, since I've run this podcast, I've always had a special episode for the end of quarter where we do some review check-ins, etc., how you're doing, how furthermore we can help you. Well, this year I decided to kick it up a notch and actually get help with it. And I've invited a good friend of mine to help me do that and enlighten you. There's someone you've met before. This person has been a part of my show before. I'm not going to say who it is until we actually kick off the episode. So without further ado, enjoy the show.
Hello, and welcome to Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses, the podcast where you will discover all the latest and greatest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. If you are not getting the results you are looking for from your digital marketing efforts, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's the host of our show, the local business guy himself, Frank Deming.
Hello, everyone. This is Frank Deming, the local business guy. Welcome to another episode of Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day, everyone. I hope you guys are having a rocking week thus far. Today, as I said in the pre-intro, I have a special guest. I'm starting this season off differently in terms of the end of quarter. As in the previous two seasons, in my end of quarter, I always had a special episode, and I've always talked about, if you recall, digital marketing stuff about, what you should be planning on, what you should have been doing the first quarter, and what you should be planning for the second quarter, et cetera. And you know what? Business is a lot more than just marketing. Business is a lot more than just digital marketing. I can't believe I'm saying that. The local business guy is saying that. Anyway, you heard it first. I'm admitting it. And that's why I have my good friend, the GOAT, Jennifer Flynn, or AKA the Balance Maven, to help me out so that way you can close out this first quarter of 2022 the right way and position yourself for the second quarter. So, hi, Jennifer. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for that lovely introduction. I'm so happy to be back. I always love to be a guest here.
Yeah. It's always good to have you as a guest. As I said, you are the GOAT. Before we get into the content of today, what we're going to help these folks out with for the first quarter and position themselves for the second quarter. Why don't you catch us up with what's been going on since the last time you were on the show last year? What's going on in Jennifer Flynn's life?
Well, always exciting times here at the Balance Maven, and I'm really grateful that we had a fantastic 2021, and I'm really looking forward to 2022. I had a really fantastic 3-day experience that I put on for the general public for ticket holders. And we're doing, we'll probably do a couple of them this year too. It's called The Alchemy of Business. And that's going to be a little bit of what we share with your listeners today and in future quarters. We're going to talk about the 9 elements of the Intuitive Business Atlas so that all of your listeners can have a healthy business too. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So tell me something, Jennifer. So this event, is it a virtual event? Is it a physical, is it in person or what?
Well, up till now, it has been virtual. I think, given current times with coming into year 3 of a pandemic, we have not really fully opened things up for live events, but I certainly aspire to have it be a live 3-day experience where we get to be together in person. But the last 2 that I've offered have been virtual online events, and there's a beauty to being able to do it virtually. I mean, there's no travel cost, no lodging cost, and you get to really do it from the comfort of your own home or office.
Yeah, that's true. Awesome. All right. So let's dive in. Let's help these folks build businesses that they never thought they would build. Even if you're a seasoned business owner, you've been in business for 20, 25 years, this kind of setup, this kind of information is going to help you even get you to a different level. I don't know any business owner that doesn't always want to improve each year. So that's why I like to give out this kind of content. And I'm very blessed to know people like yourself, Jen. So thanks for being my friend. Thanks for being my co-host for today, and also being my business partner, because I think you're a business partner of mine. So that being said, what do you have in store for us? What are we going to prepare our listeners for today?
Well, this is going to be the first in a series. So as you mentioned, you're going to provide your listeners with an opportunity to really evaluate and grow through their business, not just in the marketing, but in the entire circle of their experience. And so today we're going to unpack my 9 elements to a healthy business. I call it the 9 elements of my intuitive business atlas. So we're going to do an overview of those 9 elements today, and we're going to unpack 2 of them. And each quarter we will unpack 2 more. So we'll get a total of 8 unpacked, and the 9th element will just kind of be woven throughout every quarter. We're also going to provide your listeners with a toolkit. So there's an actual printable that they can follow along what we talk about each quarter and be able to really have a container to evaluate where they are in their business right now and which of these elements might need their attention. And ultimately, these 9 elements are meant to work in harmony with one another. And they are standalone items in our business that we focus on, marketing being one of them. But in a very healthy, robust, successful business, you really want to give attention to all 9 of these components. And we want all 9 of them to be functioning on all cylinders. So in this toolkit, we've provided an evaluation tool that allows business owners to look at these 9 elements and score or rate themselves on where they are right now, and then decide which one of these elements needs their attention now. And if you can give your attention to these things that are maybe lagging behind, my hope will be for you that over the course of the year, you'll have all 9 elements in a healthy place, therefore translating to a very happy, healthy, successful business. And if you've got a happy, healthy, successful business, then my hope is you also have a happy, healthy, successful you.
Awesome.
That's a mouthful.
It's a mouthful, right? Tongue twisters. And I will definitely provide a little link for you guys to get this toolkit. It will be available to you on the show notes. So all right. So walk us through the first 2, Jen.
Well, I'm actually going to, if I may, I'll illuminate what all 9 of them are, because you need to know what they are. And then we're going to we're going to unpack 2 of them today.
Okay.
So and just kind of giving you the overview, again, we'll dive deeper into 2 of them today, but I want to just touch on what all 9 of them are. And we'll talk about what make each of these up over the course of this series. But big picture, I think it's important to see what these are on the forefront and kind of at the outset. I have them in an order, but I want to be really clear for the listeners that it doesn't mean that they're on this linear line or that they go 1 through 9, and you have to approach them in this order. A lot of times I like to kind of take this line and fold it into a circle. And I can really meet anybody wherever they are in any one of these steps and then lead them on around the circle. But I think it's important to acknowledge what all 9 of them are. So the first one is mindset. Then we have mission, then marketing, followed by money conversations, mechanisms and means, momentum, monetization, measuring, and the 9th one being mentorship. So we love alliteration at the Balance Maven. So they just all, lucky for me, start with M. But, one more time, that's mindset, mission, marketing, money conversations, mechanisms and means, momentum, monetization, measuring, and mentorship. And today we're going to dive into mindset and mission. And the reason I have those at the top of the list is, and again, these are in an order, like if I were free to tackle them with, perfection in mind, the reality is, as we all know, business is messy, and we might be starting anywhere on this circle. That's why I don't treat it like a line and I kind of fold it into a circle. We meet you wherever you are and you need the most help, but we are going to go all the way around because you do need to have these 9 elements. But I do believe that if I get to choose the order, mindset is number one important. And I think it's important to understand that each one of these elements can stand alone and they each have their own components, but they also work synergistically and they depend on one another to form a really optimal performance and have the ideal results. So it's kind of like a puzzle. Each one is one piece. Add them all together, you have an entire picture and it really all comes to life. But if we don't have mindset at the forefront, then we really don't have the foundation to build on. So if you don't really look at what your mindset is, then everything else kind of falls down. Any actions we take from a place that aren't from a healthy mindset are not going to serve us. They're going to be less impactful. And you really have to enroll you first in your business. And
it's
that's
funny.
kind of what the mindset.
It's funny, Jen, sorry to cut you off. But as you were saying this, I was thinking about one of my first business coaches said something to me that I'll never, ever, ever forget. He said, you can get everything right in your business, but if your mindset is wrong, you will fail. Conversely, you can get everything wrong in your business, but if your mindset's right, you will succeed every time. That thing stuck with me forever. But anyway, just wanted to share that. So go ahead.
I could not agree more. I mean, having the right mindset leaves us a lot of room for imperfection in our actions and even our strategies. But you could have the greatest strategy of all time. And if your mindset sucks, you're not going to execute on it. So you're right. It really, in my opinion, it's the supreme ruler of all things. You have to be wired for success. And if you have a really top-notch, successfully wired mindset, you're pretty much unstoppable. And now with mindset, I think it's important to, in my experience, there are 2 components to that. There's kind of the metaphysical, energetic component. And then there's also the psychological component. And, I work a lot with clients on kind of that soulful side or that spiritual side of things. And spiritual doesn't necessarily have to mean religious in its context, though it certainly can. I think we have to have a hell of a lot of faith, in something, whether it's ourselves or something greater than us, as part of that mindset. But kind of on the energetic, unseen side of things, this is, sometimes that unconscious mind. And I'm a big fan personally of like energy work and things like that to kind of clear out some of that stuff. But I think that the key here is to be really conscious of the fact that there are unconscious things going on in our mindset. And there are conscious things going on in our mindset. And the unconscious things being the parts that might have, belief patterns or habits or societal constraints, paradigms we've adopted, things that we just operate from a place of, whereas the conscious part is the things that we are certainly much more aware of and, that we really want to work towards. And I would say that it's important, whatever modality you choose to use, that if there are beliefs that you're bumping into that you are consciously aware of are kind of wreaking havoc in your life and you don't want them to be true, but you know that they're having an impact, it's really important to, find a way to work through that. And I don't believe that willpower is enough. I'm a big fan of using things like Psych K or, there's a lot of belief balancing tools out there, hypnotherapy. If you've got some really deep-seated mindset stuff, you don't have to just power through it. You don't have to just will your way to change. There's no need to push the river. There's a lot of resources out there. And I certainly, I won't dive too deep into all of the modalities. But I do think the really important thing is to recognize how important mindset is. And that if you feel powerless against some of your habits or beliefs or stories, that we want to make sure we're taking massive action towards overcoming that or improving it
It's
or
funny. It's
upgrading its
funny.
software.
I also heard about something that I don't know how true it is, but apparently acupuncture is good for that too, which is kind of weird. But anyway, have you heard about
I think
that?
there's a lot of things. I think there's a lot of things that are great for that. I haven't heard about acupuncture specifically for that, but I mean, I certainly can see the benefits of that. I think, for me personally, I like to employ a lot of different things because I'm always working on my mindset, and I know that it's the gas and engine, so to speak. And so, you want that to be a quality fuel that you're putting in. And if I'm bumping into things that aren't serving me or that are old stories, I'm duty bound to do something about it so it doesn't hold me back. And the reality is when we play a bigger game, new levels, new devils, we run into things that we weren't previously triggered by because we've never played at that level. So it's a constant thing. It's not a thing that's once and done, because as you grow, you're going to realize there are things that you're going to bump into, that you stumble across beliefs that you would have never encountered if you didn't play that level.
Yep. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying our end of quarter episode. Jen and I will be right with you in a few minutes. While I have your attention though, it's very important that you understand that everything that we go over when it comes to setting up your business in the right way starts with having a website that works. What does your online presence look like right now? If you don't know, I will invite you to head over to my website, lbmsllc.com. On the homepage, you'll see a button that says Online Presence Report. Click on that button, request your free online presence report, and that's going to put you in a position to understand what's going on with your business from a digital marketing standpoint. That's going to help you then follow through with everything that Jen and I are talking about. So with that, I'm going to bring you back to the show.
So the second one we're going to talk about today is mission. And this is a really big one. I'm going to say mission and vision. They kind of go hand in hand. And any good business has to have a powerful mission and vision. And really what that boils down to, I think, is having clarity of purpose on how we want to make an impact on the planet. And it's really a very dynamic process. As we serve and we grow and we get deeper and deeper clarity on who we are, who we want to be, and we get continually pointed in the directions of getting there, it's really important to have a quality mission statement. I would put into kind of the group mission statements, vision statements, manifestos, whatever it is, your operating system or your code of conduct. What do you find to be true about that?
Let me ask you something before I answer that question. Do you feel, as I also think about this a lot of times, do you feel that it should be looked upon every now and then to maybe change your mission? Or is it something that you should just ride through all the time? What's your whole take on that?
I love that you asked that question, because I think it's really important to absolutely always be visiting it. But I also think that it's really important to not feel pressured to have all the answers for that in the beginning. You can't necessarily have all the answers for the end in the beginning. It's a journey. There are many twists and turns on the path, but we do need a place to start, and we have to have enough vision that we can start to build the vehicle for the difference we want to make. We have to have clarity of purpose on how we want to make an impact on the planet and the world. And, it's not something that's necessarily going to be really static for people out the gate. Sometimes people are going to have to put they're going to find that they put a lot of pressure on themselves around this idea. I've got to have my mission. I've got to have my purpose. I have to have it all figured out. And then I have to make the decision of how I'm going to do it all. And then I got to follow this course rigidly. And I think it's really important to be flexible in that. I think be clear, but give yourself room to grow. and give yourself room to change how you choose to express yourself within that. Because the reality is when we're serving in the world, we know experience is the best teacher. And as we serve within our mission, it's very likely going to open up new doors. It's kind of like following the breadcrumbs, and the breadcrumbs may lead you to different paths. And that end game vision may be different than the one you started with. But without a starting mission, you're going to have left the car in park, or you might just be circling the parking lot. And we've got to get out onto the highway with it. And when you do, that clarity starts to emerge and grow from where you were. Because, we want to be growing, and you don't have to take the exact same direction, but having a starting point, visiting it frequently, and allowing yourself the freedom to massage it and treat it kind of like a living, breathing document are really important. And I think there's a number of components to having a good mission. And, vision statements and mission statements are not the same, but I do believe they go hand in hand. And I would also say a big component to that is, I'm a big fan of manifestos, which is basically like, what's the code of conduct I'm going to operate by? And, I'm happy to share what the Maven Manifesto is and how it ties into vision and mission. But I think it's really clarity of purpose is really kind of what it comes down to. And I think it's really important to know what that is, because all of your actions are going to be driven based on achieving that mission.
Yeah, that's true. Now, how does one tie, like, for instance, would you not tie, I said the wrong thing. Would you make sure that your mindset is 100% on point before you create your mission? Or it doesn't really matter?
I think that, I think mindset is really important, but I'm going to argue that, do we ever really have our mindset 100% on point? I mean, it's a growth process and a journey too. And if we push ourselves into the lane of that has to be perfect before I do anything else, my fear for people is they don't take any action. So I think that it needs to be something that we are aware of, that we need to, if we have things that we know we need to address, that we address them as much as we can, but we have to leave room for the fact that we're going to be continually addressing things all the time within our mindset. It needs to be, it's like sharpening a saw. You're going to go hack down some trees, and that saw is going to get dull. You always got to be sharpening it, or you're not going to be able to accomplish the next task. So I don't think it's a once and done, get this, and then we start that. But I do think it needs to be addressed. And I think all of these elements are not once and done. They're things that need to be continually being addressed and being tweaked and being given our attention. And they're really intended to be diagnostic tools for the health of our business. It's not a shame spiral or a shame shovel that we need to beat ourselves up over any one thing not being perfect. And I think, business is messy, but when we have a formula to follow, we can make it less so, and we can have something to cling to.
Mm-hmm. So, as part of this, we are giving the listeners a download for this toolkit, and of course, it's in the show notes, the link there. But so let me ask you this: so we just went, this is our last episode here for the first quarter. We just went through 90 days. Give us some as part of toolkit. We have what's the Back to the Future exercise. So, what kind of homework can we give the audience before I let you go, in terms of looking back between mindset and mission? What's a good thing to do, and what's a good thing to think about going forward for the next 90 days? Where this is concerned, that is.
Yeah. Well, so in this toolkit, I think that the best place to kind of help us know what to do moving forward is to look at where we've been. and evaluate what's been working, what's not working. And since this is our, end of the first quarter, and we're just introducing this concept to folks, what I would encourage them to do is to check out this Back to the Future exercise and just look at quarter one and ask yourself these questions. What worked? What didn't work? If I could do it over, what would I do over? And then from that learning, what are the non-negotiable new standards? What am I going to carry forward from that learning and make sure that I implement within my systems and processes? And then looking at this wheel of elements, where we've outlined for you what the 9 elements in the Intuitive Business Atlas are, score yourself on where you are right now, not from a place of judgment, purely from a place of observation. Look at each of these elements and ask independently of the other elements, how am I doing on mindset on a scale of 1 to 10? How am I doing on mission on a scale of 1 to 10? It is not uncommon for business owners to not have a clear mission. Like, I know what I do and I know who I do it for and I know how I do it, but not have a written down mission. And so you might score yourself kind of low on that if you don't have that.
Right.
But go ahead and go, even though we haven't talked about all the other elements, go ahead and score yourself on these other elements too. And really what this is designed to do is let you just very diagnostically look at your business and say, how smooth is my ride? When you look at it as a wheel, when you fill in each one of those segments on a scale of 1 to 10, some are going to be at a 10, some are going to be at a 1 or 2, some are going to be at a 4. And it's kind of like when you think about that rolling, it's like cha-chunk, cha-chunk. It's not a smooth ride. Our goal isn't to necessarily get everything to a 10. It's to look at the lowest scoring item and try to improve it to get it closer to the level of some of the other elements so we can smooth the wheel out a little bit. Over time, we hope to get everything functioning optimally at a 10. But what I would invite people to do is really ask yourself on the concepts of mindset and mission, make a list. What are my current beliefs in my business? What do I believe to be true, good and bad? And don't judge it, just acknowledge it. And what most people find is there's a lot of things that they weren't really super conscious of. They could write them down so they have some consciousness of it, but it's not something they were giving attention to improving. But what are my current beliefs in my business? Like, I believe, what do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about your ideal clients? What do you believe about the current economic climate? What do you believe about current events? And look at the overall tone. And then based on what you believe, if there's things that are maybe not the most positive or serving, what would I like to believe? So I like to have people fold a piece of paper lengthways. On one half, write what you believe. And then across from that, if you like it, great, give it a check. If it could benefit from improvement, what's a better feeling thought? And what would you like to believe? And write that. And then for mission, really take a look at what your mission is. And if it is not written on paper, it's time to get it there.
Yeah, no, I got you. That's awesome. So guys, you got to go. I know most of my listeners, I did a survey. I don't know if I told you about this, Jen. Most of my listeners say that they listen to me while they're driving. So when you get to your destination, go to the episode and download this today. Start working on this because it's going to be important for you, especially as we get into the next quarter. So that's what I wanted to start this year. I think it's more important that we do this than just talk about the digital marketing aspect of it, although that's very important. But business as a whole, as my coach back when I was first starting my business said, I can get everything right, but if my mindset's wrong, I got nothing. So download this like right now. Well, not right now. Park first, and then bookmark this episode and then download it. Okay, so it's very important. Before we let these fine folks get to their destination and get to their day, is there anything that you want to add to this before we close this? I don't want to leave anybody hanging.
Well, I love that you, as the local business marketing guy, give our listeners a preview for next quarter. Market marketing will be one of the elements we talk about. We will talk about marketing and money conversations. Next quarter, we'll dive into a little bit more about those two elements. And we'll also give everybody an opportunity to evaluate how did this last quarter go and how they're doing with these 9 elements in their business. Will just continue to further their growth within these elements and unpack 2 at a time.
Okay, awesome. So marketing, and money conversations, you said, huh?
Yeah, marketing and money conversations.
I like those two. I love those 2 topics. Can't wait for. I can't wait for June. Anyway, guys, this is I'm a bid farewell to this episode. I want to thank you, Jen, for doing this for me. This is like you guys are getting a free education from the GOATs. So just think about it. If you were a quarterback and you actually had Tom Brady teaching you how to pass the ball, that's what you guys are getting. Or if you guys played basketball and you had Michael Jordan teaching you how to shoot a free throw, that's what just happened now, because you just heard it from the GOAT herself, Jennifer Flynn, aka the Balance Maven. My name is Frank Deming, the local business guy. Take care, folks, and bye for now. See you next week. Peace out.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses, the podcast where you will discover all the latest and greatest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. Don't forget, any links that were mentioned during the broadcast will be available to you in the show notes, so be sure to grab them while you have the chance. Incidentally, if you have any topics that you would like for us to discuss on the show, be sure to send an email to the email provided in the show notes, or click the Contact Us link and let us know what topic you would like us to help you with, and we'll be sure to add it to our schedule. If you would like for Frank and his team to look at your digital marketing presence and give you a free evaluation, simply click the Request a Free Consultation link in the show notes to get a hold of them. That being said, until our next episode, make it a successful digital marketing day. Peace out.